Do you think you're in control of your life? The truth is, most of us are just puppets of circumstance, and we don't even realize it. In this video, we're going to talk about the principle of rhythm from the Kybalion, that universal law that explains why your life feels like an emotional roller coaster, and more importantly, how to get off the ride. I've been interested in the subject for years, and I noticed something intriguing that gave me a powerful insight into the principle of rhythm, something I want to share with you. Nature always supports your project when you align yourself with it. Stay with me because we're going to uncover the mathematics behind your motions, how you can take charge of your own life, and most importantly, how to escape the mental swings that drag you down, raising your consciousness to a level you never thought possible. My name is Noah, and you're watching the Hermes Code. Superficiality blinds us, traps us in vicious cycles of frustration and repetition. But today, we're going to break that pattern. Get ready for an uncomfortable but liberating realization that will transform how you see every high and low in your existence. To start untying this knot that seems to trap us in repetitive cycles of ups and downs, we first need to start with a premise that might feel a little uncomfortable, but it's the foundation of everything. Nothing is still, everything vibrates. This idea is crucial for continuing our line of thought, because it represents a fundamental physical and metaphysical truth. From the tiniest atom to the vastest galaxy, every particle, every form of energy, is in constant motion, in constant vibration. And if everything vibrates, if everything is in perpetual motion, it means everything constantly influences and is influenced in ways that are invisible to the untrained eye. So what does this have to do with the principle of rhythm, our topic for today? Your emotions, your thoughts, what you feel, and the reactions you experience in daily life are nothing more than the complex, and often unconscious, way you decode the universal vibrations that surround and fill you. Don't think we're talking about something distant or abstract. We're talking about the very essence of your existence. Think about what happens with a pendulum. Notice the precision, the relentless mathematics of its back and forth motion. There's no flaw, no hesitation. It swings to one side, reaches its peak, and returns, driven by the same force, to the other side, with a proportionality that borders on perfection. That exact, precise, mathematical movement is the perfect mirror of what happens with your emotions, with your energy cycles, with your periods of excitement and discouragement. There is a flow and a reflux, a constant coming and going, an inherent polarity in everything that exists in the universe. And yes, that includes you. It's an intrinsic characteristic, inseparable from the very nature of things. This means that universal principles, these laws that govern reality, aren't out there somewhere, buried in some dusty old book, waiting to be discovered by a select few. They're woven into you, encoded in your vibrational DNA, influencing every heartbeat, every thought that crosses your mind. We spend our entire lives in this complex game of influencing and being influenced. It's a constant cycle, a field of invisible forces shaping us every second. And why does this matter? Why is understanding this so crucial to your life right now? Because it puts you at an unavoidable crossroads, at a visceral decision you need to make now. There's no more room for half measures, for the comfort zone of indecision. You essentially have only two options, and there is absolutely no middle ground here, even though many try to live in the illusion of being in between. But life doesn't work that way. Either you're in the front seat, both hands firmly on the wheel, steering the course of your life, choosing the path, setting the pace, or you're in the back seat, blindfolded, completely unaware of what's happening, being mercilessly dragged by circumstances, by random events, by emotions that come and go without your having the slightest control over them. Now be honest with yourself. Which seat have you been occupying? Think about it. Not as a rhetorical question, but as an invitation to your deepest self-inquiry. Because the answer to that question is the first and most vital step toward your freedom. If rhythm is a universal and unavoidable law, a constant in existence, then how can we avoid being mere passengers dragged by it, like a boat adrift in stormy seas? The big, liberating insight lies in deeply understanding what we call extrapolations. What are they? They represent those small deviations, those subtle slips and escapes we make from our center, from our axis of balance, from our purest and most aligned essence. The good news, something that's often overlooked, is that on the mental and emotional plane, polarities aren't fixed and horizontal. They're actually vertical. This means that at any moment, you have the power and ability to choose to polarize upward, to rise into a higher state of consciousness and existence. This is your prerogative, your greatest freedom. There is, therefore, a center, a dynamic point of balance where true mastery of life resides. And there are these extrapolations, deviations from that center. The beauty and complexity lie in the fact that these extrapolations have a manageable margin, a limit. It's a space where you can oscillate, float, experience the nuances of life without losing vital contact with your center, with your inner truth. And so, the pendulum doesn't swing as wildly. The extreme extrapolations, the ones that throw you into deep chasms of despair or reckless euphoria, are, fortunately, rare in their most extreme form. But what about the extrapolations that aren't so small? Ones that, if left unchecked, tend to spiral into bigger and bigger deviations. Those are the truly insidious and dangerous ones. Think of the laziness that keeps you from starting something important, the procrastination that pushes today's responsibilities into tomorrow, that subtle habit you know doesn't serve you but has become an automatic comfort. These small and seemingly harmless escapes from your center slowly, silently become pathological over time if you don't act, if you don't draw a clear, conscious boundary now, if you don't take back the reins of your will. And what makes this cycle even more dangerous is that society, by and large, not only tolerates but often applauds these flaws, these extrapolations. It's the all-too-convenient mantra, everyone's doing it, so it must be fine. This is the trap of conformity, the illusory comfort of belonging to the herd. It's easier, and let's be honest, often more comfortable, to go along with the crowd, to follow the flow, to justify your inaction and vices by pointing to collective behavior. There is a deep lack, an ancestral need for belonging behind this collective behavior. But paradoxically, it keeps you a prisoner of negative rhythm. That need for belonging traps you in a cycle where lack of control is the accepted norm, where individual responsibility is diluted in the crowd. And it's precisely that social acceptance, that validation of what's normal, that blinds you to how much you're being dragged along, and how much that's holding you back from real growth and the full expression of your potential. Freedom begins when you question what's considered normal, and decide for yourself which seat you'll take to steer your life. Now that we've understood the gravity of being dragged by circumstances, of being swept away by the unconscious rhythm of extrapolations, let's talk about the solution, the path to mastery. This is where the real magic happens, where you consciously reclaim absolute control over your life experience and stop being a passive puppet. Yes, you can escape the emotional roller coaster, the exhausting back and forth that robs you of peace and energy. But it's not simple. It depends on a conscious and ongoing act of will. If you jump into this challenge with naive optimism, forget it. It won't work. Think of life not as a straight line, but as a constant expansion of awareness. We do circle back to the same points, yes, but not as a vicious cycle that keeps you stuck. It's an ascending spiral. Every time you go through a cycle, an experience, a challenge, you return to that point, but on a higher level. Because each turn brings new insight, deeper understanding, more refined wisdom. And it's exactly in this ongoing learning, in this progressive elevation of consciousness, that the key to your freedom lies. There is, in fact, a concrete way to escape the mental swings that afflict us so much. And the tool, the lever for that transmutation, is unequivocally the will. The great revelation here is that you can consciously choose to anchor yourself in a higher point, and no longer allow yourself to fall back to a lower one. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or denying the reality of rhythm. It means transcending your identification with the negative poles. It's not magical thinking disconnected from reality, nor is it blind optimism that ignores the struggles of existence. In fact, I reject that kind of thinking that so many so-called gurus promote. On the contrary, it's a firm and unwavering decision on the mental plane, followed by relentless perseverance and consistency on the physical plane. It's a commitment to yourself, to not accept anything less than your true capacity to be. It's about deliberately choosing a higher level of consciousness and, through the power of your will, refusing to let your mind settle in a lower state of vibration, thought, or emotion. So how do you do this in practice? Through conscious identification with the higher level you want to reach. It's as if you project your mental energy to that higher state and anchor your self-perception there. When you make that move, when you fix your awareness on higher values, whether joy, gratitude, purpose, or peace, the pendulum that once dragged you relentlessly to extremes of euphoria and depression begins to swing within this new range, this higher level of being. It still swings, because rhythm is universal, but now it oscillates in a spectrum that serves you, that uplifts you, that propels you toward your highest potential. No longer does it drag you into the common pit of mediocrity and unnecessary suffering. It's your will that redefines the boundaries of your personal rhythm. Now that we understand how crucial our will is for raising the level of our life's pendulum swing, let's talk about the consequences you attract when you insist on ignoring the principle of rhythm. When you choose to live in extremes, surrendering blindly to unbridled passions, it comes at a cost. It's a law, and the laws of the universe are relentless. It's that simple. There's no escaping the bill. Those who indulge in excessive passions, those that pull you far from your center, that throw you into uncontrollable and unsustainable highs, will inevitably face rejections of equal intensity. It's the pendulum swing demanding its price, restoring balance in ways that are often painful, because every extreme of the scale requires compensation from the opposite side. And those excesses? They don't come free. On the contrary, they are thieves of your vital energy, that precious force that drives you, sustains you, and allows you to vibrate at your fullest potential. Those deviations drain your energy uselessly. They sap your strength and, ironically, diminish your very ability to enjoy life fully. It's like burning up your car's fuel without moving an inch. This is something we need to pay surgical attention to, especially when it comes to the endless chase for pleasure. Unrestrained joy and excessive euphoria that stem from shallow, unconscious pleasure are often the cause, and future suffering is their inevitable consequence. Think carefully about how you experience pleasure. Is your pursuit of satisfaction genuine and aligned with your true self, or is it hiding a darker side? Here's the crucial part. If, in any way, your pleasure depends on the suffering or pain of another person, another living being, nature, or any form of exploitation, rest assured that within that apparent pleasure already lies, invisible but potent, the seed of future pain. It's the law of compensation acting flawlessly. Otherwise, the principle of cause and effect, one of the most fundamental universal laws, would be nullified, and that's impossible. The universe seeks balance. Understand this once and for all. Since everything is dual, you pay a price for what you have, and also for what you lack. Life is a constant game of compensation. This means that no situation is entirely bad, nor entirely good. There's always a counterbalance, a point of equilibrium. So, in the end, looking back, what was truly good? The answer. What made you grow? What, perhaps through discomfort or challenge, pulled you out of your comfort zone and taught you something new and essential about yourself, and about the intricate workings of the universe? That's the real gold, the genuine profit. Everything we've discussed so far, all these laws and principles we've uncovered about rhythm, duality, and the power of will, is meant to be applied, to be used, to transform your reality starting today, right now. Because, in the end, you can't deny that every bit of growth you experience in life, whether personal, professional, or spiritual, inevitably comes from learning. It springs from your ability to absorb, integrate, and act upon new insights and understandings. That's why I see polarity within myself at every moment, with every choice. It's a constant awareness of the duality inherent in existence. And it's through my unwavering will, through a clear identity, through the conscious anchoring of my polarity at a higher level, that I, and I alone, choose which rung my consciousness will settle on. In other words, what level of awareness I will live from. Remember, will is not a fleeting desire, not a vague intention. Will, in this context, is a firm, unshakable mental decision that, once made, becomes an unbreakable commitment to yourself. and its twin sister, perseverance, is the constant action, the daily, physical manifestation of that decision, working on the material plane to bring into reality what your mind has chosen. Without consistent action, will is just a thought. Without will, action is aimless. Unfortunately, and we need to face this raw and unfiltered truth, the vast majority of humanity lives as mere playthings in the hands of circumstance. These people have no self-mastery, no exercise of individual sovereignty, and the saddest part is, they're not even genuinely interested in understanding their own lives or the mechanisms that govern them. For many, it's infinitely more comfortable to remain in the crowd, in the herd, following the flow dictated by the collective, passively accepting being dragged by life's tides without questioning, without resisting. There's a strange kind of comfort in that surrender, in giving up personal responsibility. But you, who have made it to this point in the video, who have absorbed each layer of this message, you're already on the opposite path. You've already shown interest, a thirst for something deeper. After all, no one watches a video like this unless the seed of knowledge within them has already begun to sprout. You are choosing to understand. And by choosing to understand the laws that govern the universe and yourself, you are automatically choosing to take command. To master yourself, to master your reactions, to master your destiny. You're no longer a blindfolded passenger. You are the driver, and the map is now in your hands. Use it with wisdom, with courage, and with the unshakable will to live from your highest level of consciousness. So here's the big question. The one that should echo in your mind long after this video ends. Now that you understand the principle of rhythm from the Kybalion in its depth, and know unequivocally that you possess the power of will not only to choose but to anchor your state of consciousness above the chaotic swings of life, how will this new, transformative perspective change the way you see and, more importantly, how you act during your next emotional and mental oscillations? I invite you to deep self-reflection and immediate action. Reflect on the highs and lows to come, on the moments of euphoria and the moments of challenge. Will you continue to be swept away, or will you become the master of your own rhythm, navigating the waves of existence with purpose and discernment? The responsibility and the freedom is yours. If this video made you think in a new way, if it brought you clarity where there was once confusion, or if it simply opened your eyes to a path of greater personal mastery, then I have a request for you. Subscribe to the channel. By doing that, you not only join a community of seekers who, like you, are committed to mastering their own lives, but you also ensure you won't miss the upcoming content. Content that will be carefully crafted to keep equipping you with the tools and knowledge you need to master your mind, your emotions, and ultimately your life. And if this knowledge was truly helpful to you, if it touched something deep within you and moved you forward, leave a like on this video. It's more than just a click. It's a powerful signal to me that I'm on the right path, that I'm delivering the value you seek, and it motivates me to go even deeper to bring you insights that genuinely make a difference in your journey. Thank you so much for watching until the end, for dedicating your time and attention to this knowledge, for investing in your own consciousness, and, most importantly, for taking the first step to take control of your existence. I'll see you in the next video. My name is Noah, and this was my contribution.